it's my understanding that you have been to Israel before, and obviously as a devout Christian, this is it's a very important location to your religion. So can you just tell me a little bit about your personal connection with the country and what you experienced and took away from the last time that you got to go?
Yeah, every trip that I've been to Israel and the city of Jerusalem, I'm going to tell you, the people are so kind and gracious and just loving. I mean, the people there are just incredible. I mean, just good, genuine, kind people. And so as soon as I started hearing of everything going on, initially, to be completely honest, I mean, I was just heartbroken. And it's not just for the people in Israel. I'm heartbroken over the humanitarian crisis that is taking place in Israel and along the Gaza Strip. And, because we don't look at it as followers of Jesus, the brokenness in our world and the sin in our world, it's not just affecting one people over another people, but rather it's affecting everybody globally. And we should feel the effects of that as a love for all people. And so we at Green Acres, it's not that we are just for Israel and we are against another, but rather we want to see peace, as the Bible tells us that we want to see peace in Jerusalem. And in order for that to happen, there's going to have to be a peace between both sides. And we believe wholeheartedly, and there's no one that can dispute this fact, that peace only comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so when we pray for the peace of Jerusalem, we're praying that even in the midst of chaos, in the midst of war, in the midst of crisis, that ultimately that people would come to know who Jesus Christ is, because that's our answer for peace, ultimately.
Yeah. And as of right now, there is a trip in the books planned for your parishioners to go to Israel, and there's a whole itinerary. I think it's a 10-day trip. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct.
But that's not until February. So, what is the course of action? And then putting your pastor hat aside, how do you look at something like that and moving forward?
So for us, we're just taking it day by day, week by week, and we're going to just monitor the situation in the Middle East to determine whether or not it is wise for us to continue the trip. And we want to go on our trip in Israel, but we know that there's just a lot more at stake right now. So if we have to redirect in ways that that are more beneficial for the people of Israel and for everything that's going on, that's what we want to do ultimately. And so right now we are getting together. We're going to be doing a special offering that's going to go to Send Relief, which is an organization that is already on the ground in Israel. And so whether or not that we get to go in February, we still are going to send aid, and we're going to send people if necessary. We're going to send resources as necessary, so that we can even aid with the humanitarian crisis that is now happening along the Gaza Strip, as well as in Israel and Jerusalem. And we're not going to know the effects of this until months and maybe even years down the road. But we want to go ahead and start gearing up, and we want to make sure that people around the world know that Green Acres is going to respond when there's a need.
Do you have any friends or connections in Israel from your prior trips that you reached out to? It's okay if not.
Yeah, we definitely have friends that we've already been in contact with to make sure that they're okay. And so far, the people that we've been in contact with, they are okay, and they're closer to the city of Jerusalem. But we're still keeping up with them, and we're finding out what we can do here, even from the States, to help best.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a little bit on a different track, but what is the importance of this trip to Israel? What does it mean as Christians, and why do you think people are so drawn to going back?
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting when you go to the place that you read about in the Bible, and that you can walk in the same steps where Jesus walked. And you recognize that this isn't just a man in history. This is actually a man who actually lived, who was fully God, who was fully man, who did real miracles, who reached real people, who healed people with real sickness. And one of my favorite spots in Israel is on the Sea of Galilee. And to be able to be out there on a boat in the same place where Jesus walked on water, where Peter walked on water. You can read about that in Matthew chapter 14. But to be there, it makes the Bible come to life. It goes from being 2D to 3D. It goes from black and white to being full color. That now when you read the Bible, you can see it because you've seen it with your own eyes. And I think that there's nothing mystical about being in Israel. But I do think that it helps us even in our walk with Jesus now. And it makes the Bible come to life for us in a way that is sometimes difficult by just reading it in black and white.
And let's say hypothetically that this trip has to be canceled for the safety of your parishioners, for the safety of people in Israel. What kind of a reaction do you think you'll get from that?
You know, no one's going to be upset. I mean, we're people who have been looking forward to the trip. I mean, sure, there's a disappointment attached to it, but our concern is not about what we want or what we want to do. Our concern is for the people of Israel and for the people involved in this crisis. And so, whereas we hope we get to go, more importantly, we're praying for peace.